Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Tambua Women in Tech Fireside Chats. As you're aware by this time, we get to give amazing women tech shoutouts and get to hear the journey and stories as to what inspires them on a day-to-day basis and how they got to where they are. My name is Allela, and I am your host and the moderator of this Fireside Chats. And today we are joined by June, who is a QA, and she gets to tell us what her career is about, how she got to where she is, and what exactly would it take to be a QA. Hopefully we all get some tips. So hi, June.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good on my end, and you?
I am well.
Okay, so one of the things people ask is, it's always good to know someone better. So maybe let's start with that. Who exactly is June?
My full name is June Reeves. I've been a QA for 10 years now, close to 10 years, yeah. I started that in 2012, September, the QA journey. Currently, I'm a quality assurance chapter lead, QA lead at a company called Katei, product MTBA. Yeah, so in a nutshell, what I do for a living, that's that.
Wow, okay, 10 years. I'm doing the math. I'm sorry. But it's interesting when you talk about you've been a QA for the past 10 years. And would you maybe tell us what exactly does it mean to be a QA? Like more about what the role entails.
So the role entails releasing software to the market that is of quality, of high quality. So it's basically testing, getting bugs, disturbing developers to resolve those bugs. But yeah, our main purpose as QAs is to make sure our customers are happy when we're using the systems that we release to them, that they are happy and they do not have issues when they are basically using the system.
Okay, so I'm looking at it, and this QA space is not something that majority of developers tend to venture into. And here you are a woman in the space, doing it. And would you maybe tell us how your journey has been? What inspired you to get into tech, and then now to you choosing the path of being a QA? And for those who don't know, I think it's quality assurance. QA.
Yes.
Quality assurance. Yes. So maybe would you tell us more about your journey and how it's been like?
Yeah, and actually software quality assurance, because quality assurance actually is in many industries. So like software quality assurance. And it's just that we assume sometimes that people know QA if you're in tech. So my tech journey started in campus. When I joined campus in 2008, I actually did want to join tech. I wanted to become a doctor. But my marks, they didn't get to where I was supposed to get them to. Although I got a strong A-, but I wasn't able to get through the government sponsored program to do medicine. So I remember at some point when I was in high school, and I don't know if people know this DJ, he's called DJ Katrix. I remember when we were in high school, he said that he was doing computer science. So when I was told to choose the second option because I couldn't do medicine, I was like, I remember some DJ, he was cool and all, he was doing computer science. So let's try it. So I got in, I had the marks, I got in very easily and I started classes. Let me tell you, I flunked the first 2 years because my mind wasn't there. If I give you my transcript right now, first year and second year, it's all C's and D's because I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do computer science, as in it wasn't my thing. But when I got to third year, I sat myself down, had a conversation with myself and told myself, so it's either you're going to drop out of university or just embrace computer science, embrace tech, do research more about it and see if you can go through and finish up to the end. So I did a lot of research, realized there aren't so many women in tech at that particular point. So I turned around like completely 360. I started working hard and at least I got a second upper based the fact that the first year and second year I'd really flunked and gotten C's and D's. Third and fourth year, I really worked to get my A's. If I give you my transcript, you wouldn't believe it's the same person. So immediately after campus, not even before graduating, I got an internship at a certain company. And the normal thing when people finish campus, you get internships, as in that is just the normal journey. And that company was looking for basically guys who have graduated or about to graduate and nurture them. So we were all nurtured as developers. I remember during the first few months, we were going through C, learning C all over again and learning Java all over again. And then after around 3 months, we were told if we want to continue being developers, or we can look at other avenues or other departments in the organization and see where we can actually join. So typically everyone starts as a dev. So started this, I can't even remember the system that we were developing at that particular point, but I remember I really enjoyed testing it. Like by the time we were done developing, I remember I really enjoyed testing it, writing edge test cases and just finding those bugs and taking them back to developers. As in, that was what I'm a very creative person, so that is what intrigued me. So when we were told now to review if we still want to remain as developers, I just switched and went all the way now, and I became now a tester. That organization, they used to call them testers, not QAs. And that is how I started my journey of being a QA. So QA involves a lot of creativity. It involves a lot of thinking out of the box. And I believe that is who I am, because when you look at the requirements, you need to think out of the box, how you're going to break the system when you actually get it, and how are you going to find those pesky bugs that a normal developer wouldn't actually find them. So yeah, so that's how I got into tech and became a QA.
Wow, that's I'm looking at it. So here you are, medicine. Then you join a computer science, coursework, and first year, second year, you're like, nah, this is not my thing. And then third year, all of a sudden, your attitude is changing. And then you join a company, and all of a sudden, you realize you want to continue doing this testing. So I'm going to go back to something you've talked about. You started off as somebody who wanted to do medicine, but you felt like your grades were not what the medical industry has set in a way, because they wanted A's and all that. Would you maybe tell us more as to why exactly you did not, for the first 2 years in campus, you did not think computer science is what you wanted to do?
So ideally, my mind was still like, I wanted to become a doctor, My late dad was a surgeon. So basically, I wanted to follow his footsteps. So as I went through the classes, learning C, doing all those introduction to computing and all that, I used to just sit in class for the sake of the fact that I am in campus. I think most young girls or even young people, we were taught that when you finish primary, you go to high school. When you finish high school, you go to campus. When you finish campus, as in there's that flow of life. So basically, I could, if I wanted, I couldn't like quit campus. I needed to just continue learning. So the first year and second year, they were tough because I wasn't concentrating in class. I remember classes like data structures and algorithms, like things will enter one year and get out the other. I don't even know how I got that C or D. I have no idea. But again, I think when I changed my mindset, when I got to third year and realized, wow, computer science is actually a lucrative course. I can venture into so many things. I can be a developer, I can be a tester, I can go into networking, I can do so many things. And I think that's the point where I decided, like, let me work on this. It's actually a good thing. It's a space that doesn't have so many women. And yeah, let me try it. Yeah.
Interesting journey. I like what you're saying. You looked at it from an angle of the several opportunities, the several roles that somebody can consider, which is something that I say most people, when they start computer science as a coursework, because you're mostly told about the development side of it, then the assumption is you can only be a developer or you can only be a network engineer. But here, I'm going back to my campus, and nobody ever told me you could be a quality assurance engineer, you could like test out the software, or you could write some automated test. So maybe would you tell us, if you look at testing in general, when you go there and you want to test a product before it's launched, for somebody who's new to all this, what are some of the key factors that one needs to look at,
All right. So when you begin testing, basically when you actually just decide that I'm going to join a certain company and be a QA, you definitely start with the minimal way of testing, that is manual testing. And manual testing is basically going through the system that you have and actually trying to, first of all, learning the journeys, learning how the system works in and out, like domain knowledge. And then after that, now isolating the specific journeys and trying to find if they are according to the requirements. So if there's a particular customer journey in the system, is it according to the requirement that the customer wants or what the company is developing? For example, these companies like Microsoft, they don't actually like look, their, what are they called? The name is, they're platform based. They're not like customer centric. So when you're starting your career in QA, you start first with manual testing before you get to the automated side. And how one would start with manual testing, just going through the system and trying to find bugs and using your creative juices to be able to see those edge test cases. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you more like, I don't know if it's a trick question, but this is how I'm going to structure it. In a world where many people are talking about automating processes, where do you see the future of QA is going to? I think this is more like a trick question.
No, it's a normal question.
Okay, great. Saves me a lot.
No, I've had so many people say like, you guys, very soon you're going to be extinct because you're going to have bots doing all this testing and you guys won't have a job. But ideally, there's still the human touch with regards to QA. And there are so many things that can't be automated. There are so many processes. When you look at different systems, because I've worked in a number of companies, there are so many processes that can't actually be automated, that a bot would actually like run some scripts there and everything would just go fine. So there, and also as QAs right now, we are trying to, what is it called? Not catch up, but to increase our skills. Is that the right word? Yeah. And it's normal for anyone in tech, right? So even we're trying to go like the machine learning way to be able to be like maybe a bot. So you'd find so many QAs are actually, when you actually talk to many QAs actually in the QA industry, like in Kenya, so many of them are going the machine learning way, or even maybe even the leadership way with regards to how can even QA make businesses deliver their systems better. Yeah. So we're not going extinct. We're not going extinct.
Of course. There's a human. I like what you say, the human touch, where it's based on the customer's experience. You're trying to understand the customer journey, and nobody can understand the customer journey better than a human being, because the system is built for humans. Which actually now, you've talked about people trying to upskill and things like that. Now, when you started your journey as a QA, yes, you say there was a company that gave you a platform to, learn all these things. But how else did you upskill? How else did you ensure that you're able to gather the skills that have led you to be now able to work at a big organization like KRP? You're building systems that are being used in like by first responders or something close to that. So how exactly did you get yourself to, have all the skills that are relevant to make you the best, or I'd say the best QA out here, the badass person doing the thing?
So the first one, like everyone does in tech, you learn on the job. That's the first one, because it's no one in school, no one in campus tells you what's out there. You're just given the nitty-gritties, as in like, I would kind of look at what I learned in campus. I think I'm using 10%, basically. Like, I don't even know how much you're using, but as in like, most of the time you learn on the job. 2, you have to continue learning and learning through doing various courses. If it is on Udemy, if it is on Coursera, you need to continue upscaling yourself. And that is why, like for us, research, like for techies, research is very important, where you kind of see like, where are other companies, what are other QAs doing in other companies, for example, which tools are they using, which tools have been developed out there for automated testing, and now you start learning. And the good thing about, although maybe my employer shouldn't hear it, changing jobs is that when you get to another organization, you even get to learn what that organization is doing with regards to tools, and you actually get to learn. So I would say with QAs and even anyone in tech, learning is continuous. It never stops. Even 20 years from now, if I'll still be a QA, I know I'll still be learning and learning and learning. Yeah.
So there's being open to the idea of learning being open to
Yes.
upskilling. And you've actually mentioned some of the learning, you could go on Udemy, you could go on Coursera, and the learning resources outside here. But let's look at
Yes.
it. You're in an organization, or maybe you're just getting started in tech, and you've tried software development, you're like, this thing is not working for me. Then you try something different, maybe you try networking engineering, DevOps, it's working for you. And then you tell yourself, I want to do QA. So is there like a place where QAs or like prospective QAs could go to for support? Are there like communities that support QAs? Are there like mentorship opportunities? And what is your general thought on that? Mentorship in general.
So 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, sorry, in 2019, I started a forum for QAs. Unfortunately, this year I haven't picked it up, but 3 years ago, before COVID, I created a forum for QAs specifically in Kenya. So we would meet every month in various offices, different offices, and we'll just discuss about from the nitty-gritties of how to become a QA all the way to which tools do we use, the types of testing, if it is mobile, if it is database, if it is front end, all that. So that community has really grown. So we do have a meetup, we do have a WhatsApp group, and that community actually helps one when they're trying to join the QA space. Is it known? Not that much, especially after COVID, everything went down, and I haven't yet actually picked it up. But if there's someone out there who would want to join us on Meetup, we are there, Quality Engineering Kenya, and we actually give advice in the journey of joining a QA. Apart from that, there's a lot of resources online. Like when you just type quality assurance or software testing, guru99.com, you have softwaretestinghelp.com. All this even take you through the journey. Even ISTQB, one of the standards for testers, they actually take you through the journey of how you can actually start from a manual tester all the way to a test manager, how to go become an agile tester, a mobile tester. So online, we have so many resources online. So anyone who wants to be a QA, you have all that online for you, and also the community that we have as well.
So seems there is a lot of support for those who are keen on venturing in this space.
Yes, yes.
I'm going to ask you a question I rarely ask people, but I'm looking at it as a QA. There are some, you're writing code to do some tests where needed.
Yeah.
At the same time, you're waiting for the developers to finish this, task to be done. So it seems to be a lot goes on. There's a lot of things you have to learn. You have to learn how to deal with people. Maybe you're dealing with customers, getting feedback from them once you've done products like that. And so how exactly, for a woman in this particular case, do you find that balance in life?
Let me tell you, you have to be tough. As a QA, you have to be tough, especially as a woman, especially dealing with developers and also dealing with customers. I think even customers are easier to deal with. But yeah, as you've said, with the QA, it's not really all about writing code. I think I envy developers. They're on the back end, they just write code and that's it. But for us, again, if you're dealing with customers, your face must be seen. You must fight for your bugs to be actually resolved. Sometimes our developers say, no, though that's not a bug, it's actually a new feature. And you're looking at him like, no, it's a bug. So I think also as you continue in the journey of being a QA, as you progress in your career, you get to learn people skills. I think that is one thing I really learned, like how to speak to developers, how to speak to customers, how to have buy-in on initiatives in the company that you work for. If you're introducing something, a new tool, for example, how do you have buy-in with management? So as you progress in your career, these things come in, and people skills, it's a must. It's a must. It's a must.
Yeah, interesting. You say struggling with developers. How bad can it be? When they say this, this is not a bug, this is a feature. I'm imagining putting a button somewhere that's what's supposed to be, and then I'm like, no way, this is the feature. This is not a bug. Must be hard. Sorry, but
it must be hard.
So I am very sorry on behalf of all the other devs out here.
Yeah.
Talk about tools, having to learn new things and things like that. So for a QA, I'm sure this is something I'm new to. What are some of the tools that you actually use for somebody who's getting started, they could be like, okay, I want to learn how to use this tool, I want to learn how to do X, Y, Z.
So the easiest ones to learn, there are so many tools that actually one can start learning with by recording and playing. But the common ones that are actually used are actually Selenium. We have Appium, we have Cypress. Those are the most common. Espresso, those are the most common ones that are actually used right now, even for performance testing like JMeter, SOPUI. So the tools are actually very, very many. But again, it also depends with the organization. The other tools for IBM as well. Again, it depends with the organization and the cost. But if someone just wants to start learning, I would tell them to go the Selenium way, because everyone starts with Selenium first before now venturing into other tools like Cypress and the rest. Yeah.
And so what exactly would they be testing for?
Again, that depends. So for example, if I'm testing mobile, that I will go the Appium way or the Espresso way, right? If I'm testing front end, I would go the Cypress way, for example. If I'm testing backend, I would go the Karate way. So it depends on what you're actually automating, right? So if you're automating, again, Google is your friend. Whatever you want to automate, all the tools are listed down there for you. Yeah.
Okay, so this tools can actually help if maybe you're testing performance, efficiency, usability, and trying to identify, any issues. Very, very interesting facts. Now, when you look back, let's go back like 15 years back, because you already have 10 years experience. I'm going to take you back to campus. If you were to go back to that particular setup, what exactly do you think you do differently as compared to, how you did things back then?
Have testing as a course, as a unit. Have testing as a unit, as a course. Yeah, because I came to know of testing when I was doing my project, the 4th year project.
Yes.
That's where you're told now follow the system development life cycle. So when you go and look at SDLC, that's when you realize, there's testing here. But throughout the 4 years, no one even told you about testing. You ever knew they're going to go the development way or networking?
Yeah.
So I think some universities actually do that. I think the ones that are private. But for us who went to public universities, unfortunately, is it fortunately, in Kenya, they need to actually revamp their syllabus, their curriculum, and actually be more like other universities like the USIUs, and actually introduce testing as a unit. I'm available to actually teach. I can teach.
I think this is a marketing part for you. I am able to teach, so hire me. I'm here. I'm like, I want to do
exactly.
Actually,
yes.
And I'm looking back to our curriculum. There is a lot that there's always some missing gaps. We in campus would write code on a piece of paper, unless it's, or when it comes to your project, when you're doing examinations. If it's maybe, I remember the most common examination was in Java, and we would be asked to do street lights, but instead of writing the street lights on, configuring it or writing it on code, you would be made to write it on a piece of paper how it's supposed to function. So it's very interesting when you say this is supposed to be introduced early. This coursework, even if it's having testing, let them know that there's an option for them to be QAs. I really like that. And I guess now that we're almost out of time, but let's, double back now to the young girls who are watching this, or to anybody who's watching this. What exactly would be your piece of advice to them?
You can get into tech and you can make it. You don't have to have a particular mindset that either I'm going to be a teacher. I think the girls are told to be teachers, or I'm going to be in fashion, I'm going to be in beauty. No, you can actually get into STEM and you will make it. And it will be tough. I won't lie, it will be tough, especially if you're joining to become a QA, but you will make it. So for any young girl out there, let them do computer science or computer engineering, according to what most universities actually call it, or is it BBIT and all that, but actually they'll get it. And there are opportunities out here. Let me tell you, if you go to LinkedIn, you'd actually see so many opportunities. Yeah.
When you talk about it will be hard, that means the challenges that you are not told us about. I feel like you've only told us the merry part of it, but what are these challenges that they may face if they're maybe thinking of entering to be QAs or just joining the STEM space?
I think one of the challenges, maybe from my experience, would be one of the mindset thing. Number two, you have to definitely code. I think most guys, when they join, at least when you see ladies who have done tech, most of them, not majority, but would go into the side of maybe networking because there isn't maybe much coding with that. So in QA, definitely you have to learn how to code in order to write the automated tests. That is another thing. Number three, you have to learn how to deal with people. In QA, you're dealing with people all the time from morning to evening sometimes. So you need to learn how to deal with people. Number four, you're actually breaking ground in our man industry, for lack of a better word, an industry that has so many men, to the fact that if I ask you right now, you'll tell me most of your friends are men compared to women. Because I remember like in our class, I remember in our class, we were 120 in KU, 120, and only 20 were women.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's like a sixth, exactly a sixth of the whole population.
Exactly.
That is, that's horrific. Yeah. Totally relatable.
Yes.
So they should have an open mindset. They should know that as much as this is a male-dominated space, they could actually go. But when you look at it, when you started to now, do you feel like there are more women joining in the space, and what could actually be attributing to this?
Example, forums like this are attributing to women joining because we are creating more awareness. I think during our time, there wasn't that awareness. Like, it's okay for women to join the STEM industry. So like forums like this actually creating awareness, even like the meetups like people do for developers. If you see them all online, developers, QAs, and you see actual women in those forums actually, so we can actually join and become QAs and developers. So I think the awareness is what has brought more women, as in compared to 10 years ago. Right now, like in the company I work for, a number of women are actually developers and QAs compared to the company I was working for 10 years ago. I think we were very few, we were accountable.
Mm-hmm. So if you look at the challenges you face, the progress that has been made, for somebody who feels like they still experience these challenges, even now when people are joining, we still say it's a male-dominated field. Or we still say, what if I'm not the right person? There's this whole imposter syndrome. So what should you tell somebody who's facing the same challenges that back when you're getting started, and maybe to a few years till date, you faced? So what are some of the things that you tell them, or how exactly have you dealt with the challenges? Let's just say that.
I'd say believing in yourself. Our minds are wired to, there's something called the negativity bias. Our minds are wired to accept more failure than actually positivity. So it is normal, and our minds are wired that way because we need to have that fearful nature in us, so that we may not be able to just cross the road for the sake of crossing. Because if we were all not fearful, we would just cross the road and not even think there's a car coming or another one going. So that actually works on the that actually affects us as women. And first of all, us, because women, we are empathetic. We are really empathetic compared to men, and we don't believe in ourselves that much. So anyone going through these challenges and are in a male-dominated field, or working in an organization where there are so many men and maybe they're the only a lady in that place, first of all, they need to believe in themselves. They're in that place for a reason and a purpose. They did computer science for a reason and a purpose. And if they went through 4 years of campus, and if they specifically went through a public university, they can make it. They just need to put in the effort. If they need to learn new things, learn new tools, learn how to deal with people, they just put in the effort. If it is sleeping 3 hours a day or in a week, you need to put in the effort.
Wow. Okay, thank you. I think I have been empowered. I feel like now putting in 3 hours, but I love my sleep. Sorry, so I'm gonna stick to 8 hours. Okay. So now we have your challenges how you've worked, how you've dealt with them. Would you maybe give us your parting shot, just getting to hear from you, June? What would be like that thing that you want to tell anybody who's going to be watching this?
Anyone who's going to be watching this, let's empower the next generation. We won't be here forever. So I think that, to me, what I feel is the most important thing is for us to empower the next generation. And I love what you guys are doing. Like, you're actually creating awareness and actually bringing women on board to let others know, whoever is watching this, know that I can do this. I can join the tech space. I can become whatever I want to be in the tech space, and I will make it. So let's continue empowering the next generation, and especially this generation of these millennials who they join a job today and they have quit tomorrow. Yeah, so we really need to empower them. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much, June, for joining us today. It was wonderful to have you and get to hear your journey. How would someone reach out to you? Maybe tell us your LinkedIn, your Twitter profile, and just, I don't know if email is okay with you, but how would someone reach out to you if they maybe need somebody to hold their hand in their journey to being QAs?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, I'm June Katei Reeves, and my email is reeves.katei. So you just switch my name, reeves.katei@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you so much, June. And we are super happy to provide you. For all those who are listening to June right now, remember what she has said. You can do this. If you're a woman, there are resources outside here. She has talked about Udemy, Coursera, and even other tools that you could use to just get started into your learning journey to being a QA. Feel free to reach out to her. I'm sure she has a whole community of people who are working on QA, and you would be one of them to join the space. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you all on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.